Welcome to Just the Facts. So there's this huge political showdown happening in Texas right now, and the shock waves could soon be felt from Sacramento all the way to Albany.
Okay.
It's potentially redrawing the electoral map for the entire country.
That's exactly right, Liam. And it all centers on a process that sounds, super technical, but is just brutally political.
Yeah.
Redistricting. The Republican-led Texas legislature is pushing through a new congressional map.
Right.
And not as part of the normal once-a-decade census process, but in a special mid-decade session.
And let's be really clear about the facts of this map.
Okay.
Analysis shows it is drawn to basically dismantle several Democratic-held districts and create 5 new, safe Republican seats.
Wow, 5 new seats.
It's a really bold move to expand the GOP's majority in the U.S. House.
And the response from Texas Democrats has been just as bold.
Right.
So to prevent the bill from passing, most of the House Democrats have, physically left the state. They're denying the House the minimum number of members, a quorum, that's needed to even hold a vote. I mean, they've effectively shut the legislature down.
This is a really risky last-ditch effort.
Oh, risky.
Under the Texas Constitution, lawmakers who break quorum can be fined $500 a day and be legally, compelled by state troopers to return to the Capitol. But only if they're in Texas. By crossing state lines, they've created this incredibly tense standoff.
And this is where the story goes national.
Yeah.
So Democratic governors in California and New York are watching this and publicly considering a fight fire with fire approach. They're talking about calling their own legislatures back to redraw maps, to eliminate Republican-held seats in their states.
But, okay, here's the crucial difference.
Okay.
The legality of this is completely different in each state.
Right.
In Texas, the state legislature draws the maps. It's a partisan process by its very design.
Okay.
So what they're doing, while it's aggressive, is totally within their legal power.
But California is the polar opposite,
Totally.
right? Their voters deliberately took the power of redistricting away from the legislature. They gave it to an independent citizens commission.
And their whole goal was to end partisan gerrymandering. So for Democrats to retaliate, they would have to ask voters to repeal their own reforms?
And then New York is this messy middle ground. They created a bipartisan commission, but the whole process just failed in the last cycle, and the courts had to step in. So this chaos from the past might create a legal loophole for the legislature to try and reclaim that power now.
But it's guaranteed to be a huge, huge court battle.
Let's step back and look at the real-world impact of all this.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just a game for politicians. Partisan gerrymandering, whether it's done by Republicans in Texas or potentially by Democrats in California, it fundamentally weakens the power of an individual's vote.
It's this process of packing and cracking. You either pack all of your opponent's voters into 1 or 2 districts so they can't win anywhere else, or you crack their voting blocks apart across multiple districts so they can't form a majority in any of them.
So the result is that election outcomes are basically engineered before a single vote is cast.
Exactly.
It creates these safe districts, which just fuels polarization, right?
Exactly.
Because only candidates need to appeal to their most ideological base voters.
Exactly.
And for everyone else, it can lead to this sense of hopelessness. Like, why should I even vote if the outcome is already decided?
So while the immediate focus is on a potential net gain of, 0 for either party if this arms race plays out, the long-term damage is to the principle of fair representation and just voter trust in the whole system.
It is a complex and unfolding story.
It is.
It's a complex and unfolding story with the very structure of our representative democracy hanging in the balance.
Right. So here's a question we'd like you all to think about.
Okay.
When one side uses a political tool like partisan gerrymandering to its absolute full extent, is it a moral failure or a strategic necessity for the other side to do the same thing in response?